Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Today I'd like to talk about a pretty anti-repair and anti-ownership action that Honda has taken recently against a website and why it is I think it matters, why I think it's important, and why I think it should be talked about. On this channel, there's something that I've been trying to do with my content to diversify it a little bit so that people understand that when I talk about the issues I talk about, that they're not solved by, quote, not buying Apple products anymore. I run an Apple product repair shop. And when I discuss things on this channel, when I go over design flaws, defects, anti-right to repair stuff, most of the content tends to be about Apple because that's what I specialize in. That's what I'm good at. That's what I know. So I can point out the specifics. But what that does is it leads people to this idea that right to repair is exclusively an Apple problem, that it doesn't affect the medical industry, it doesn't affect tractors, it doesn't affect cars or anything else. So I've been trying to highlight other companies, whether we're talking about the one-wheel electric scooter, where you can't replace the battery or it bricks the board, or Raleigh, where they'll say on their website that, the battery is just buy a new bike, don't worry about it, or anything else. I want you to understand just how far this has permeated into our culture, often with companies that were actually respected in the past for valuing repairability. Now, this has to do with 3D printable models being taken down from several websites, and the reason they were deleted is because the websites administrators did not want to have to deal with Honda's legal department and go back and forth. This is from Prusa 3D, and there was a good article in The Drive about this. Honda orders big takedown of Honda-related 3D printing models from maker communities. Now, for those of you who have lived under a rock for the past 15 years, no shame, just to explain it, a 3D printer is something that's going to allow you to print just small, basic little odds and ends using basic materials in the comfort of your own home. So again, you could, like for instance, let's say you needed a plunger for a syringe like this. You could actually find a model online that somebody's made for this plunger, and then you could just print it in your apartment. Now again, it may not be as perfect as something that's made with multi-million-dollar machinery, but it's going to be good enough to get the job done. You can buy 3D printers for a few $1,000s, or you can buy them for several $100,000, and you're going to get various differences in the capabilities, the quality of the product they'll be able to make, the materials they're able to work with, and the technology is advancing at a rapid pace, and it's pretty cool. I've seen people print stuff like the grips for so you could use HAKKO tips and a TS100 soldering iron. All different types of stuff is accessible, and it opens up this new era of creativity where you don't have to have multi-million-dollar manufacturing equipment to start creating little odds and ends. You just need the ability to use the software on your computer and spend a couple of $1,000 for a printer, and you can just start printing real stuff. It's really cool. And people are using this for all different types of things. Often they're using it for little odds and ends for their car. For instance, just like somebody had mentioned here, let's say, it's a washer fluid cap, just basic little odds and ends like that, something that you may have lost or broken or, lost in a parking lot while you're trying to replace your washer fluid late at night, or just little weird odds and ends like that. And Honda has ordered them to take this stuff down, and they show a screenshot of it. Now, there's a couple of things here that I think are worth going over. There are people saying that the reason that they're making this trademark and the potential trademark and patent claims is because if they don't make these claims, then they won't be able to protect their name into the future. So, for instance, let's say you say Honda Civic cup holder instead of saying cup holder for Honda Civic. That could give you the idea that this cup holder is actually made by Honda. Now, what they're saying in this article is that this comes down to trademark and patent law and how, let's say if you're taking down something that says Honda Civic cup holder, that's way worse than something like cup holder for Honda Civic. The former is going to make you think that this actually came from Honda, whereas the latter is going to make you think that this is just some random part that just so happens to be compatible with your Honda Civic. It says in the article, from a trademark law perspective, there definitely can be a difference, says Maya Eckstein, a partner at Hutton Andrews Kurth that specializes in the law surrounding additive manufacturing, in an email to The Drive. Every situation is fact-specific, but generally speaking, the former suggests that the cup holder was manufactured by Honda or is endorsed by Honda, that Honda is the source of the item being sold, risking a likelihood of confusion and thus a trademark violation. The latter doesn't necessarily do that. It falls into the category of nominative fair use, where you are merely describing things being sold, but not implying sponsorship or endorsement by the brand. Now, the problem that I have with this particular line of argumentation, even though I completely understand it from the legal point of view, is that they're not taking down somebody who's selling an aftermarket cup holder. This is a 3D printing repository. You're not buying the cup holder from them. You're buying a little piece of information on how to create your own cup holder. Nobody that's on a 3D printing website, I guarantee 0% of them think that that is actually a Honda cup holder. Like when you are purchasing a 3D printer and you are using a file from the internet to 3D print out of materials you just put into a printer in your own home a part for your car, there's no way in hell anybody with a functioning brain would think that came from Honda. That came from your 3D printer in your kitchen that you just set up. There is no way for there to ever be any sort of ambiguity in that this is a Honda part, but it's actually aftermarket, because you're literally the one that's printing the part. Does this make sense? So the idea that they're protecting their brand name and image by making them take down the word Honda, in my opinion, is bullshit. This has nothing to do with that. Further, there is lots of case law that's not exactly the same as this, but kind of similar, that demonstrates, in my opinion, that copyright law and all of this in general it's not designed to keep people from being able to perform repairs. For instance, in Southco Inc. versus Cambridge, it was a spare parts company selling parts using part numbers used by the manufacturer. Copyright was claimed, but it was struck down. If the part numbers in the schematic are not copyrightable, what about the schematic is? It must possess some minimal degree of creativity. He concluded that Southco's part numbers fit within this narrow category of works that are incapable of sustaining a valid copyright ID. You have ATC distribution versus whatever it takes transmission parts, where they were holding part numbers and technical illustrations unoriginal. There's all different types of case law, and that dates back a very long time on this. Now, again, here we're talking about the brand name, not the part number, but it's the same shit. They're not using the brand name so that they can print it on there. These parts don't have Honda logos. It doesn't have the word Honda on the actual part that you're printing. It's simply saying this is a part that will fit this year and model Honda. So it's not saying that it is from Honda. It is saying that it will fit a Honda. I just reject the argument wholesale that anybody who is going to a 3D printing website to get a file that allows them to print their own part is ever going to be stupid enough to actually believe that that's coming from Honda. That's not what this is about. What this is actually about, in my opinion, is keeping you from being able to work on your own vehicle, keeping you from being able to fix your own car. I was having a debate with somebody yesterday who said the quiet part out loud, and I appreciated their honesty. This person disagreed with me and said that people seem to forget that companies like Honda need to fight to survive. Limiting competitors is a part of that fight. And that's what this is about. Limiting other people from being able to make parts to their vehicle so that they would have to go back to the dealer when they need this type of stuff. The part I found interesting was when we got to the part in the argument saying Honda should be able to dictate who manufactures parts for their product line. If you don't want to pay the cost of their parts, don't buy a Honda. And that money should be going to Honda and its employees. I want you to think about this if we were just to follow this line of thinking all the way through. Imagine if we lived in a society where nobody else was allowed to make brakes to a Honda Accord or a Honda Civic other than Honda. Nobody else was allowed to create gasoline for your car other than the car company that made it for you. You weren't allowed to find something else to put in your car. Imagine if Intel had no competitors. Imagine if there was, AMD wasn't allowed to figure out how to make an x86 processor and make something competing. Do you think that microprocessors would have advanced at the same pace over the past 30 years if AMD just didn't exist, or if any other company producing processors like that did not exist? Our American system is based on competition. If you can figure out how to make something and then you can make something yourself, well, that's great. Now, again, we're not even talking about somebody stealing Honda's designs. We're talking about somebody that took a part off of their car, did all the measuring and work themselves, and then created a file from scratch that allows you to produce that. And what I appreciate about my friend who disagreed with me here, who I debated back and forth for a while, is that at least they're being honest. That's what this is about. This is about control. It's about wanting to control who profits off of anybody ever interfacing with their ecosystem. Does that sound familiar to you? It's about them wanting to control what you do with what you own. Does that sound familiar to you? It's about them wanting to avoid ever having to deal with competition. Does that seem familiar to you? Imagine if the rest of the economy worked this way. Well, Honda's employees are protected because nobody else can produce a part to their car. But what about the people that may be able to produce that part better? What about the people that now, or maybe they don't even have a business producing that part, but simply because they saved money by producing that part themselves, they now have additional money in their pocket, and they can use that additional money in their pocket to spend more money at the grocery store, spend money at a clothing store, invest it in a company, or fill up their car with gas, because God knows everybody needs more money to do that nowadays. But we don't live in this zero-sum economy. We don't live in this economy where if one company's employees lose out on a particular source of revenue or one company's employees lose money, that everybody's lose money. That's not how this works in any way, shape, or form. And when you add new services, new products, new everything to the economy, we all benefit, particularly when it is that you're making things available for damn near free that teach people how to create and produce things that they otherwise wouldn't have known how to produce. Knowledge is power, and it is a good thing. And I hear so many people on this channel that say, Lewis, why do you want Apple to not be able to tell Intersil they can't sell you a chip? Why don't you just, I don't know, make your own chip? And the thing that I think is really clear when you see shit like this happen, even if I was able to make my own chip, you bet your ass they would do every single thing they can to shut down my ability to do that. Because that's the ideology behind this. Again, it's not about the copyright, it's not about the trademark, it's not about the safety or any of that horse shit. It's about them protecting their revenue streams. They don't want somebody else to be able to produce a part to their car. They don't even care if the person producing that part to their car reverse engineered it and created all the measurements and the schematics and everything themselves. Because that's what these people did. They did not break into a Honda facility, steal a bunch of 3D print diagrams and upload pirated material to their website. This is not like somebody stole Apple schematics and uploaded it to VinaFix or something. These were user-contributed designs. And after the user contributed their own design that came out of their own head, this is what happens. It's not the world that I want to live in going forward. And I got to ask you, is this the world that you want to live in going forward? This is the world that we are moving towards. And this is the world that I am every day fighting tooth and nail to avoid having become reality. And I point this out on a regular basis because I want you all to understand that this is not something that's only happening with Apple. It's not something that's only happening with John Deere. Very often, when I do videos on Tesla, somebody will show up and say, this is why I'm keeping my Honda forever, because they respect repair. And well, again, yeah, in some ways they do. In some ways they're probably considerably better. In some ways, they're not. Many people don't realize that when there was a right to repair ballot initiative 2 years ago, that Honda spent $2.9 million donating to Coalition for Safe and Secure Data. And what they did is they implied that right to repair helps domestic abusers. They created commercials of people that look like they were about to get beaten and sexually assaulted in a parking lot, implying this will happen to you if you allow other people to fix your car. And they talked about how right to repair supports racism and redlining. I shit you not. Check archive.org. I'll link that video down below. Same Honda. The companies that you love, these iconic companies that used to respect your right to do whatever the fuck you want with what you own, are the very companies that are just more than happy to trample on that shit given the chance. And it's something that I want to bring to your attention as often as humanly possible, and it's something I am going to bring to your attention as often as humanly possible. What do you think of what Honda is doing here? Do you think that this is appropriate, or do you think that this is inappropriate? I think it's inappropriate, and honestly, I would be really surprised if this actually made its way to court, if this would stand up in a court of law. I have been going back and forth in my head with the idea of having Repair Preservation Group put aside some funds for the potential legal defense for when large companies go out of their way to try and screw people out of the ability to repair their products. Like whether it's JW Batteries producing a chip that allows you to choose what size battery you put in your one wheel so that you're not stuck dealing with the manufacturer, or whether we're talking about you being able to print a washer fluid cap for your own vehicle so that you don't have to buy it from Honda. No, most of the time, I understand why these websites do this. They realize, they don't want to get beaten to submission by a company that's worth $80 million or $200 billion. It's understandable. But at the end of the day, this reaction of, no, sir, I'm sorry, sir. I'll remove everything from the website. I'll stop selling the chip. Oh, please don't hurt me. That's not going to move us forward. And while I understand why most of them are doing that, they're saying they don't want to potentially lose everything. I don't think that it's good that is a default response. And so I've been thinking about putting aside some Repair Preservation Group funds to be able to provide a legal defense, because I think that what they should be doing is not cowering in fear, but saying, fuck you, we are going to continue to allow people to download diagrams that were made by random people on the internet that were not stolen from Honda that demonstrate how to print a fucking washer fluid cap or a cup holder to your car. And I would posit that if that is patentable, if you can actually patent that, and the company that is giving you access to a document that tells you how to produce a washer fluid cap to your car is in violation of United States patent law's got to fucking change. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. If you're a Honda customer, if you're somebody that appreciates their vehicles, that's a loyal customer and will be into the future, I highly suggest that you let them know what you think of their decision here. If you are somebody that wishes to have the ability to download a little document that allows you, if you wanted to spend thousands of dollars in a 3D printer, to be able to print something like a cup holder or an aftermarket washer cap in your own home. What do you think of their actions? Because this stuff is not going to change until people start pushing back against it. And I hope the people that start pushing back against that hit the subscribe button on this YouTube channel. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.